Welcome to Homestead Reptile. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why these popular new morphs prices have tanked. I mean, they have tanked. So just come back to 2022. The average price for a cap baby, this was a hatchling, was $8,000 to $10,000. Now in 2023, the average price is $400 to $1,000. Sables are also tanking. And then we also have some other popular morphs. So we have Axanthic, their prices are going down as well. And you also have Lily Whites, and their prices have come down significantly. So I'm mostly going to be focusing on cappuccinos and sables, but I brought up those two other morphs for a reason. We'll talk a little bit more about those towards the end. But there was a corn snake breeder who founded palmettos, and his strategy in breeding his palmettos to not flood the market, to not overproduce them, to let people have the time to get their investments back in his projects was genius. I honestly think it was brilliant. And if you're ever lucky enough to have something really cool genetic pop up in your collection, say you're the breeder that has an albino crested gecko pop up in their collection, you should use this method, or in a short period of time, the market's going to be flooded. It's going to be flooded. The value of that morph is going to go down. And I imagine if you're a founder of a morph, you're very proud and you love your morph and you don't want to see it get cheapened. So the palmetto corn snake is a very interesting history, and I think we can really look at it to use doing any genetic projects. So the first palmetto was wild caught. He was caught in 2008 in southern South Carolina. In 2010, they bred him to a female, and he produced several hets. So he was bred once to one female, and they produced several hets. So in 2012, those hets were ready to breed, and they only took 3 of the het females, and they bred that visual palmetto male to those 3 females. Now, what this guy did, and I think this was a genius move, is he only allowed females to be sold. So he was only selling the female hatchlings. He waited till they were sexable, of course. However long it takes to sex out a corn snake. I'm no corn snake expert. And they were pre-sold to the US and some of them went to Europe, and he only allowed the females to leave. He didn't allow a single male to leave for a very long period of time. And those hatchling females sold for $4,000 each. So in 2015, remember, that's a decent amount of gap between when he sold those first females and to when he's allowing male hatchlings to leave his facility. So in 2015, that's when he allowed males to be released into the public to start breeding the males as well. So it took this person, it took a while for the corn snake hobby to be saturated with palmettos. And today, they're not that saturated. There's not a ton of palmettos compared to some of our other popular morphs. So palmettos have been around for 12 years. And palmetto corn snakes are not going to cost $4,000 a piece now. But for being around for 12 years, their price is pretty stable. So a low quality palmetto is going to sell for $300. And that's a visual. I'm not talking about the non-visuals. So a visual palmetto is $300. That's a low range. And the high range is $800. So low price 3, high price 8 for a morph that's been around for 12 years. That is stinking good. That is stabilized, and it's probably about where it should be. They're a very gorgeous snake. They're white with they have a solid white body with these interesting red and brown specklings. They're really pretty. I'll post a pic of them probably right around here. But that's in comparison to cappuccinos. So palmettos have been around for 12 years. Cappuccinos have been around, well, they've been around a lot longer than what we think, but have officially been around and recognized by the hobby for about less than that. So like what? 4 years technically, maybe a little bit less. They hit the market really in 2021. In 2022, people were hopping on that train and really getting into them, and now in 2023, their price is tanking. Same thing with Sables, their prices are tanking too. So I told you towards the end I would talk a little bit about Axanthics and Lily White. So one breeder that actually did follow the Palmetto method was Altitude Exotic with his Axanthics. So when he was breeding Axanthics, he did not allow males to leave his facility for a few years. And he only sold females, and there is a serious reason why people do this. So a female can only be bred once in a year. She can only produce a certain number of babies in a year, and a male can be bred to multiple females throughout that year and have generations of babies. And that's how you overflood your market. Lily Whites have been around for about 12, 13 years. And their prices are pretty much at that stabilized point. So the average price for a Lily White can be around 200 to, at the high end, I've seen some Lily Whites still sell for maybe $2,000. Their price has stabilized quite a bit. So they're about at that range of a cappuccino. Cappuccinos have been around a lot less. Lily Whites have been around for almost 13 years. And there's a few reasons. So Lily Whites, they popped up in a collection in Europe. So if anyone wanted them in the United States, they had to be imported. So in a way, it was kind of, in a weird way, very similar to the Palmetto thing, because only a few of them could come out at a time. So it was a slower roll to overpopulate with Lily Whites. Now we have a ton of Lily Whites, and their value is at a lower rate, but this is normal for a morph that's been around so long compared to a morph that's been around for a very short period of time, which it's astonishing to see that drop. Now, personally for me, I would actually be kind of depressed if I spent like $10,000 on a cappuccino, and today it'd be worth about $1,000. That's my personal advice is don't hop on a brand new morph if you just want it because it's brand new, or if you just want it as like a hobbyist. But even if you just want it as a hobbyist, I always say wait a little while till their price drops and you can get it for a more reasonable price. I've really wanted a Lily White for the longest time. I finally got one for a reasonable price, and I love my Lily White. I'm going to work them into a lot of fun projects, but I wasn't going to spend, $800 for a Lily White that I had to get imported from Europe. Well, technically back then, I think I would have been like, what? If Lily Whites, I think, were founded in 2010, I think. And I don't think they were for sale until like 2013. How old would I would have been? Like, maybe 10 or 7? Maybe I was 13. I don't remember, but I was young. I wouldn't have had that money anyways, and my parents weren't going to be spending that kind of money on a gecko for me, even though I really wanted one. But beside that point, there's ebbs and flows with any market, supply and demand, and overproduction. So those two morphs, cappuccinos and sables, are sadly, they have been overproduced. There are breeders that are taking that sable male. He's pretty famous. Everyone knows the memes about him. If you haven't, look up the memes of him breeding his one sable male to, I think it was like 25 or 35 females for his first breeding season. His hemipenes are going to be broken. Like and subscribe and tell me your opinions.